Hola estudiantes y bienvenidos otra vez. Welcome again. Hoy vamos a hablar de los verbos tener y venir. Take a second to try and say those verbs. Tener, tu turno, your turn. Venir. Remember that the V in venir does not sound like v. There's no v sound in español. It's like an in between a B and a V. Venir, venir, venir. All right. So these two verbs are irregular, which means they do not follow the pattern of other ER and IR verbs. They're kind of unique, just like these fruits. Look at how unique they are. This manzana and this manzana. Very extrañas. So, tener conjugates a little differently than other ER verbs. If you look at the yo form, you see it has yo tengo. Repite, yo tengo. Tú tienes. Repite, tú tienes. Él tiene. Ella tiene. Usted tiene. All of those go together. Also, if you were to say a person's name, like Juan or Silvia or Elizabeth, it would all go with tiene. Just another reminder that if you don't have your cuadernos and your bolígrafos for taking notes, I want you to get those out, start over, and start taking notes. Remember, take notes. Whenever we're learning new material, take notes. All right, back to the video. Nosotros tenemos. Repite, tenemos. Move me up there. Vosotros or vosotras tenéis. Tenéis. Ellos, ellas, ustedes tienen. Tienen. Repite. Tienen. So let's move on. So here are some ejemplos. On the izquierda, on the left, you have ejemplos en español. And on la derecha, you have the traducción a inglés. The traducción a inglés. So, on the izquierda, tengo que ir al baño. Tengo que ir al baño. I have to go to the bathroom. ¿Tienes un cuaderno? ¿Tienes un cuaderno? Do you have a notebook? ¿Tienes la clase de biología? ¿Tienes la clase de biología? Now, I want to remind you about cognates here. So it's really helpful for you when you're looking at words in español to try and think, does that look like a word en inglés? Like clase, to me, looks very similar to the verb or the word class in inglés. Biología, if you know class and you know biología, that looks kind of like biology. So do you have biology class? Try to find the cognates in these sentences, and it will help you learn español mucho más rápido, a lot faster. All right? Continuemos. So there are some common idioms with the verb tener. So some of these idioms, some of these phrases are tener ganas de, and then plus an infinitive. An infinitive is a verb that ends in ER-IR-AR. So if it ends in the infinitive, which means there's no subject. Like tener, right here is in the infinitive, to have. All right? Tener ganas de, to feel like doing something. Tener mucha hambre is to be very hungry. So if you wanted, this again is the infinitive. Tener mucha sed, to be very hungry. And then tener prisa, to be in a hurry. So there's a common way that tener is often used, and it is tener que. So if you have to do something, you use the phrase tengo que blank. The verb that follows que is always in the infinitive, which the infinitive is the verb ending in AR, ER, or IR. So the common endings for Spanish verbs. Tengo que hacer mi tarea. Notice that this is in the infinitive. It ends in ER. I have to do my homework. Tengo que ir a clase. Tengo que ir a clase. I have to go to class. ¿Tienes que salir tan pronto? Do you have to leave so soon? So this is the practice with tener. I'll come back to this at the end if you want to hear somebody read this aloud. Otherwise, you can pause the video now and work on this in the Google Slides, or you can work on it after you watch the whole video. I'm going to continue now. Continuemos. Venir, venir. All right, so venir, let's exit this so we can see everything really well. Oh, not quite like that. Presenter view. So, venir conjugates a little differently than other IR verbs. Remember, it's an irregular verb, but it conjugates similarly to tener. That should be similarly. Venir means like to come or to come over. So, to come over. Yo vengo. Yo vengo. Repite. Tú vienes. Él, ella, usted viene. Nosotros venimos. Vosotros venís. Ellos, ellas, ustedes vienen. So I'm giving you that pause after I say these things so that you can say them yourselves out loud. It helps if you practice on your own first in your room when you're not being listened to by others, so that when you get to the point where you have to practice saying it in front of others, you've already said it a couple of times. So don't say, I don't know how to say this, I don't know how to say this, because this is your opportunity to practice ahora mismo, right now. So pause the video if you haven't gone back. If you haven't already said these, go back 30 seconds and repeat after me when I say yo vengo. Then it's your turn, okay? So here are some ejemplos. ¿A qué hora vienes? ¿A qué hora vienes? A, which means to. Que, you know que means what? Hora, what does that look like? Hour. Vienes, you know, means are you coming? You coming. So what time are you coming over? Lucas viene a la fiesta. A la fiesta. You know fiesta. You know Lucas. So Lucas comes to the party. Ya vengo. Ya vengo. I hear this all the time when I'm talking to people on the telephone and we're working on the farm and they say, Ya vengo. I'm coming now. I'm coming over now. It means they're coming wherever you are, they're coming. All right, so more práctica. So this is the second practice of the Google Slides, and it is práctica con venir. So you're going to practice with venir here. All right, so if you don't need anybody to read to you, and if you don't want to listen to these sentences and get a little help, you can pause the video now and do those sentences on your own. If you need help, you could come back and watch the rest of this video. Pay attention to this hint. Sometimes the subject of the sentence is at the beginning of the sentence, and sometimes it comes at the end of the sentence, like autobús. So autobús is the subject of this sentence. First, let's go back to slide number something, and let's do this, práctica con tener. I'm going to read through it, and I want you to work on the Google Slides, filling in the slides. Yo no tarea hoy. So fill this in with the correct form of tener. Yo no tarea hoy. ¿Usted un lápiz extra? ¿Usted un lápiz extra? Federico no hermanos. Federico no hermanos. Juan y Silvia, mucha hambre. Juan y Silvia, mucha hambre. Mi hermano y yo, prisa. Remember, the first part here is trying to find out who is the subject. So the subject for the first one is yo. The subject for the second one, can you find it? The subject for the third one is Frederico. The subject for the fourth one, do you see the subject? Juan y Silvia. And the fifth one, you might think the subject is yo. You just skipped and you said, oh, yo is the subject, which is incorrect. It's partly correct, I should say. Yo is part of the subject, but mi hermano y yo. So when there are two people in the subject and one of them is yo, we often use the we form, or nosotros. All right, so let's go down to the other práctica. Yo no, remember you're filling these in with the correct conjugation of venir. Yo no a la fiesta. Yo no a la fiesta. ¿A qué hora el autobús? ¿A qué hora Sofía a la fiesta? So sometimes the subject isn't right here at the beginning, especially in questions. ¿A qué hora Sara y Amelia a la comida? Patricia y yo a las 4. Patricia y yo a las 4. So try and find the subjects first, and then if you need help on how to conjugate them, go back to the conjugation chart and look at this chart while you're trying to do the conjugations. Buena suerte, and you can always envíame un correo electrónico si tienes preguntas.